Welcome back to the channel, it's 9, and today we are going to be talking about some big news that came out this morning about Sony and FromSoftware. Now, there is a lot of information around this, a lot of misinformation around this. I want to go into what the truth is, what some people are thinking is the case, and what really is the case. So hopefully by the end of this video, we'll all be on the same page about what to expect with the Sony investment in FromSoftware. Before we jump into that, if you could do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, share the video, helps the channel a ton. We're on the road to 9,000 subscribers. Now let's talk about this new information that we've gotten. And Sony now has invested and owns 14.09% of FromSoftware. Tencent now owns 16.25% of FromSoftware, and Kadokawa has the remaining 69.66%. Previously, if you remember, in February 4th of 2021, Sony purchased 1.93% of Kadokawa, and this definitely raised some eyebrows. People were curious, what did this mean? What we knew, when Sony purchased a part of Kadokawa, the partnership went beyond games. We were talking about anime, manga, movies, and other forms of entertainment. It played a role in their purchase of Crunchyroll as they put content out on that platform as well. So today's investment in FromSoftware is completely separate from Kadokawa. FromSoftware is a subsidiary of Kadokawa, and they act as a separate company. A lot of people don't seem to know that. They think that they are all in one inclusive, and they are not. Sony's investments are also two separate investments, one in Kadokawa and one in FromSoftware, so they are very different from each other. Mind you, they all serve different purposes as well. Let's talk about some misinformation, because I'm seeing a lot of different takes online, and some are very clever and they make a lot of sense, and then some are like, I don't know how you could even come to this conclusion. So we're gonna kind of just talk about those just to kind of clear the air. And some people believe that this means that all future games will now be PlayStation exclusive. And this is simply not true. This is just not the case. This investment does give Sony leverage, but that it does not mean that they are going to have exclusivity rights over every single IP that comes out, or even previous IP as well, if there was no deal in place in the first place. So Bloodborne, obviously owned by Sony. Demon Souls, owned by Sony. Dark Souls, not owned by Sony. Elden Ring, not owned by Sony. So this investment is something that helps Sony, because now they can propose a deal, but the decision is not solely up to Sony. It would be up to FromSoftware and Kadokawa, and is because Kadokawa, first of all, owns the vast majority of the company, right? And then FromSoftware acts independently as well, so they have a decision in it all too. And then obviously Tencent has some sort of opinion in it as well, but obviously still a very small portion compared to what Kadokawa owns. So if everybody's on the same page, sure, they could come up with a deal and say, yeah, this is exclusive, but Sony still got to present that deal, and they still got to pay for it to an extent, because they don't own the company, right? They own a portion of the company, and their decision solely is not the final decision. So that's something to keep in mind when we're talking about new IP that they create, and just kind of not jumping ahead and saying, hey, that this means that every single game they create going forward will be a PlayStation exclusive. They are not a part of PlayStation Studios at the end of the day, and that's something to remember for sure. Now, the good news, because there's a lot of good news around this, there is an advantage to this. They are the most likely to be able to cut a deal for any exclusivity, right? So say they come up and another company comes up for exclusivity, they're more likely to listen to Sony's side of things. First of all, they are part owners, and second of all, they have a great relationship with FromSoft already, and the fan base is obviously very, very excited about FromSoftware games, so they know that they sell really well on their platform. Think of Sony's partnership and investments in like Square Enix. They were able to get many exclusives and build their partnership, and having that investment definitely helped. And it also helped that the PlayStation fans were crazy about Square Enix games. Can't pretend that that didn't play a huge role, but definitely having that investment helped as well, because it's a partnership, right? Like, you guys are part owners of something that you clearly care about. Otherwise, you wouldn't put up that money. So it does look very good for Sony to own a part of FromSoftware. And so when they come to the table and they say, hey, this new game you're working on, we want it to be exclusive to our platform, even if it's a timed exclusivity, and we'll give you such and such money to make that happen. And then Kadokawa and FromSoft and everybody would come to an agreement on that, and then that would either go through or it wouldn't go through. And in the case that it doesn't, then it is what it is, right? Like, because Sony can't really say you have to do this. That's not how this works. And then there's an example of like second-party games. Think of Bloodborne, for example. They had FromSoftware do some work for them. Yeah, that's still possible, and they could definitely do that. They could definitely get an exclusive game made by FromSoftware, and Sony could own the IP. That's still a possibility, as they were obviously doing that before with Bloodborne, Demon Souls, right? So this is nothing out of the ordinary for those kind of things to occur. Now let's talk about the possibilities. What could possibly happen here? Some are asking if it is possible for Sony to ever own 100% of FromSoftware, and the answer is technically yes, but other involved parties would have to be in agreement, and I really don't feel like I could see Tencent letting go in this case. If anything, Tencent would love to own 100% of FromSoftware one day, but I don't think that it's impossible, but rather that given the criteria needed for this to happen, it's probably unlikely. I don't think Tencent's going to let go. I think Kadokawa does want to still own FromSoftware as well. I imagine that if there was a deal on the table that Tencent or Sony could have bought the entirety of FromSoftware, that had definitely been a possibility as well. I don't think that is impossible. Regardless, this is a big win for Sony as this only further tightens their relationship with FromSoft, which is arguably one of the most beloved devs in the industry right now. So it's one of those things where Sony's investment makes a lot of sense, and I think it was the best move for them to go ahead and do that. I do think that if they were able to acquire the entirety of FromSoftware, it would really look good in their portfolio, but there's got to be a reason that wasn't able to happen. Probably a lot of interest in the company. I imagine that Bandai Namco has a lot of interest in them as well. It's one of those things where FromSoft is like a once in a lifetime kind of dev where you don't see this often, where they are able to make such waves with their games. And I do believe that FromSoftware is really one of those developers that is probably the most beloved in the industry. And for a long time, we haven't seen a development team like this come by where they can create a genre of games, and not only create a genre, but make games that are just beloved by everybody that plays them and loves that type of game. I mean, it got people who would never even touch a Souls type game playing Elden Ring. You see the sales of Elden Ring, you see the reviews, you see everything about Elden Ring, the hype leading up to it, and just how much popularity it had. Yeah, we don't see games like that often, and especially with a game that's not the most accessible. Let's be honest, Elden Ring is very challenging. While it is the easiest Souls game, even the most passionate gamer may not be able to complete that game without some serious assists, like having somebody through multiplayer coming through, being overpowered, and just defeating the boss for them. And even then, it's tough to just find someone like that. I mean, sure, you could likely do that and find a way to beat it, but overall, it's still a very difficult game, and it's not the most accessible game, yet look at the popularity that it has, and look at how many people are playing these games that didn't ever even play a Souls-type game. So it just speaks to how popular their game is, how great their games are, and how much of a following FromSoftware has, and that's definitely only grown. So I think Sony's investment is one of the smartest things they could have done with FromSoft. But I hope this video was informative to you guys, kind of gave you some information. I'm sure some of you know all this stuff already, but for the ones that didn't know everything about it, this was for you guys. Please let me know what you think of all this. Are you excited about this investment in FromSoftware? What do you expect of this partnership? And what do you want to see happen in the near future with their next games? As always, if you have not subscribed already, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video with a friend. You can follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Links will be in the description, and I will talk to you all on the next one. Take care.